Before we start, quick disclaimer, anything I discuss in this video is just a small, tiny little fraction of your human design. Your human design is very complex, very in-depth, and this is just a jumping off point, like a catalyst for your experiment. So take what resonates, leave the rest, and experiment with it. So before we explore your profiles, let's first see how to find them. So when you go to your chart, you will notice these two little squares up here on top. I have a 30.1 and a 14.3. So you'll see down here, I have that I'm a 1-3 self-projected projector. How I get that 1 and 3, which is my profile, is I choose the numbers that are behind the points. So 30.1 and 14.3. So 0.1 and 0.3, that is where the 1-3. You might have a 2-4 or a 6-3 or a 5-1. You can have any variation of number between 1 and 6. And you can think of the profiles in human design as like the personality type of your energy type. So for instance, earlier I said I was a 1-3 self-projected projector. All projectors have the same wait for an invitation. They experience bitterness. They experience success. They need recognition. They kind of all have those same things in common. But being a 1-3 gives me a little bit of a different spin than say like a 5-1 or a 4-6. So, and same is true for any of the other types. So your first number is conscious and your second number is subconscious. So you're going to really feel your first number more consciously than your second. So for instance, I am a 1-3, profile 1. That is the first number. So that's the number I feel really conscious in, and I feel really comfortable just like identifying with. The 3, which is my second number, that's more subconscious. So those are traits that other people notice about me or you when talking about your own profile, or things that maybe are a little bit more of a reach or a stretch to fully own about myself sometimes. So when we think of each number 1 through 6, we can think of it as kind of like a house, but and the house is split into two. You have the lower trigram and the upper trigram. So if you are a profile 1, 2, or 3, you are going to really play out your personality or any, karmic missions you have in this life through interpersonal growth and communication and kind of focusing on yourself. You're part of the lower trigram. If you're part of the upper trigram of 4, 5, and 6, you're really designed to also work on yourself, but you might find that maybe your biggest lessons or your best lessons or your best work comes from this interpersonal connection and feedback loop if you have a 4, 5, and 6. And if you have a combination of the two, say you're a 5-1 or a 2-4, then you're going to have both elements of some personal work as well as some interpersonal where you're just bumping into people along the way and learning from them. If you have a profile 4 in your profiles, then you are a networker. You're here you play out your type by enriching communities with your ideas and transform them through your insights. So you're here to really deeply know people. If we think of profile 1, remember I showed those 6 kind of steps. Profile 1 was the very base of the lower trigram, 1, 2, 3. Profile 4 is the base of the upper trigram, 4, 5, 6. So just like profile 1 needs to deeply know information to come up with a foundation, profile 4 needs to deeply know people to come up with a foundation. So you're definitely someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone. Profile 4 is like, I know someone who has a profile 4. I think she said she never bought a car, or maybe she's only ever bought one car, but like every car she's ever gotten have always been like great miles because she knew someone whose grandma had just died and never used her car. Like she's like in her 30s now, and that's how she's just always gotten cars. And she has a profile 4. So definitely your opportunities are coming from your network. They are coming from who you know or who you know who knows someone. I think, for any business, there's always the advice of niche down, niche down, niche down, which I think is very beneficial for every business, but especially a profile 4, because again, your opportunities are usually directly tied to your network. So if you want to call in really specific opportunities or really specific results or insights, you need to have a really specific network. So it is actually advice for anyone to niche down, especially if a four. Having a four is going to really, really benefit you when you niche down. It's also really beneficial for you to line up your next step before moving on. So again, because you are really built around your community, it's kind of like, before you move out your house, you want to have another one lined up already. My mom has a profile for. That's actually exactly what she did before she moved. She made sure she had another house lined up. So to me, as a profile 3, when I decided to move from Iowa to Portland, I just made the decision and I told my job before I even actually really had an apartment. So you definitely are going to, fours need that next step. So, for instance, when you, if you decide to change personal assistants or different collaborators or different services, you're going to want to have like everything set in place before you announce, okay, I'm moving on to this next thing, or unfortunately, we're no longer going to work together or whatever. Some things that are really great for a profile 4 are private communities. Like a profile 2, again, you need to be surrounded by a community that really understands you and can really bring in opportunities. Networking events are also great for a profile 4. Again, knowing someone who knows someone, just meeting people, just getting out there and talking about the things you love talking about. It's also really important for profile 4s. Line up the next step before moving on, but also to have in their back pocket like 1 or 2 subjects that they're just always prepped to just present on. I have a profile 4 client who she was like last minute asked to present at a summit. And she was like, yeah, sure, I have this presentation I've done a million times. Like, we'll just, I'll just put together a presentation and do that. As opposed to if she had nothing, I'm sure that it would definitely have been a different story for her. But it was just so easy because, yeah, she had something prepped already. So definitely when you do networking events or presentations or things like that, just have a few things ready. Because again, that opportunity for her came because I think she knew someone who was like in this group and they needed a speaker or something like that. Gifts are also really great for profile 4s because again, that appreciation and deeply knowing your community. So getting your community gifts, your collaborators gifts, really, thought out, heartfelt. Those are going to be really appreciated from a profile 4 and also really help strengthen your network. And also, like I said earlier, guest speaking is also great because profile 4s in business really benefit from using other people's platforms. They really benefit from coming on as like a guest speaker or doing like, I don't even know if people do these Instagram takeovers or like any of the, I'm not a social media marketer, so I don't know all those trends, but whatever, like where you can just get in front of other people's audiences and talk about your services, you're probably going to find a lot more success than when you try to just solely do it from within your own community. To build out, it might be easier for you to just find other people to bring in. So as a profile 4-1, you lead with profile 4 energy. Your reflection question is, are you trying to bend or shift your stance to be understood by your network? Because a profile 1 very deeply researched. They need to fall into the rabbit hole. And a profile 4 deeply needs to fall into the rabbit hole of their community. Profile 1 is like is information and profile 4 is people. So what can happen with a 4-1 is other people might come in with their opinions, their ideas, their take on information, their take on whatever opinions. And with a 4, you're going to naturally kind of want to bend to them because you trust your community. But that subconscious profile 1 is like, no, I need to look into this myself. I need to know if this is true for me and if I want to add this to my own foundation. So really being cognizant of like shifting your stance just to go with your own network versus like what is actually true for you deep down. A profile 1 is going to be more of a resource library. So you might find people come to you both as a people resource, as a networker, but also as a information resource. So you're going to want to definitely make sure that the information you provide is information that you have researched yourself versus what comes from your network. And then for a profile 4-6, your reflection question is this the right container or group to share your wisdom? Because profile 6s very wise, lots of lived experience. They have a mixture of a profile 3 for a certain period of time in their life, and then they kind of move on to this like wise sage like person. So because your profile 4 is a networker, if your network isn't succinct with who you are, what your talents are, and really recognize you, when you share your wisdom, you might find that it's not always absorbed the way you want it to be absorbed or taken, or you might find you offend a ton of people because those people probably aren't the right people to be in your network. So make sure that this is the right container to share your wisdom. If you love this presentation and if you love this work, I would love to connect. I'd love to support you as you kick off your holistic marketing and business and self-discovery journey. You can schedule a vision exploration call and we'll look at your business systems. We'll look at your human design chart, your astrology chart. We'll also talk about opportunities to like align all of those and how we can work together. So you can find the link at JameiraPayne.com. You can also email me, Jameira@JameiraPayne.com. Find me on LinkedIn, follow me on YouTube, do all the things. I would love to connect with you to make your business better. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.